Hey guys, welcome to this third chapter of Full Stack Airbnb Clone with NextJS 13.4.4, Tailwind, React 18, TypeScript, Prisma and MongoDB, and let's make register Modal UI. In this project, we are going to build this categories of properties, elegant and smooth hover effects, menu, sign up, log in with email or Google and log out functionality. Let me log in with an account so we can see what we will build in this project. This notification as logged in, sub-menu as my trips, my favorites list page, and we can save as a list of favorite properties like this and can see favorites, and this one is my reservations list page, and we can delete existing guest reservations like this and get custom message as reservation canceled, and also here in my trips page. We can cancel our own trip too like this. Let me show also my properties page that is a list of all properties that a user has posted from Airbnb or home option. Also let me show you single property page. And we can see the images of properties, booking calendar, host details with map to, and let me book this property on clicking reserve button, and we reserve this property easily, and now we can see this booking in my trips page. Now let's click on Airbnb or home option, that is opening a modal so we can fill out as category and after that location and enter basics about the place and images. Now let me upload one of image from web address as URL option like this, and let me find an image from Unsplash as beach property image. Now let me put this one image by copy-paste URL here. And let me input as title of listing and description. And after that, let's input the price per night that we want to set, and here we go, we have uploaded our listing with price, and now we can see our property in main home page, and this one is single page for same with all basics details, and we can log out from this sub menu like this. In this chapter, we are going to make this modal as register modal. First, let's start the server as npm run dev and reload the browser. Now let's clear the terminal, and now let's install two libraries as npm iZoos 10 and Axios. And again, let's run npm run dev to start our local environment server. Now let's go to the app folder and make hooks folder, and inside that let's make use register modal.ts file. Inside that, let's import create from Zoos 10 library. And let's create store as interface register modal props, and inside that is open, which will be Boolean type, on open which is void function for now, and on close which returns void for now too. Now let's make constant use register modal is equal to create, which will use the register modal store. Also let me correct typo mistake from props to store here in the interface. and here in the register modal, which will set as arrow function, and inside that define as open as false at initial state. Now let's define the state for onOpen function as arrow function as setting is open as true. And for onClose function as arrow function as setting is open as false, so register modal can be closed with this. Now export default as use register modal so we can use this hook in our project. Now let's make register modal component in comp folder in modals folder as modal.tsx file. Also yes, let me rename this from use register modal to register modal as this is component. Now let's code this as this is client rendered only component, so use client in first line. Now SFC as emit code and let's make it as register modal name with simple div and inside that text as register. And upon saving the file, it is not showing, so let's fix this. Let's go to the layout.tsx file and inside that currently modal component is calling, so we have to replace with that with our new register modal component like this. Now we can see at top here register text, which is out register component. Now let's clear the terminal and let's install new library React Hook Form, which we will use for register form and for also validation purpose too, so it can be more convenient to use that. Now let's import Axios from Axios library. Now let's also import other things which we will be going to use in this component, so import AI fill GitHub from React icons/AI. Import FC Google from React icons/FC. Import use callback and use state from React library. import field values and submit handler and use form from the React Hook form library. Now let's do npm run dev. Also, let's import our register modal hook too. Now let's define a constant register modal as our use register modal hook so we can use register modal in this component. Now let's define constant is loading and set is loading as use state and its initial value as false. Now let's destructure the register, handle submit and form state, which is for errors. And is equal to let's use form which use field values and its default values. Our name is empty string. Email is empty string. And password is also empty string. Now let's define the onSubmit method or function which is equal to submit handler and uses the field values and take data as input parameter and arrow function as set is loading state makes true. Now after loading state true, we have to submit the form, so let's make Axios request to /API/register path as post method with payload as data, which will return a promise so.then method. For now let's close the modal so register modal.on close. and after that .catch if any error, then console.log error. And .finally set is loading makes false. Now let's replace div in the return statement with the modal component and make sure it is imported too. And let's pass the props are as disabled is equal to is loading. Is open to register modal is open. Title is register text. And action label as continue text. On close is equal to register modal on close. And on submit is equal to the handle submit method with the parameter as on submit. And now let's find why this error is showing. Let's go to the modal.tsx file in the modals folder in the comp. And here it is, body and footer as props are defined, but we have not passed, that's why it is showing as error, so let's make it as optional for both body and footer props. And that error is gone, and now there is no error, but there is not visible our register modal in the browser. That is because we have done initial value as false for that, so let's make it true just to see how it looks here in the use register modal hook in the hooks folder. Now let's make it again as false, and let's do it by programmatically on click method on the sign up button in the user menu. Now go to the user menu component and define the register modal so we can use that, and let's go to the sign up button, and on click method let's define that like this. Now in the browser you can see when we click on sign up in the menu, then register modal is opening, and on clicking on cross icon that modal is closing. So let's make body and footer for that element. Now let's define the body content is equal to. Let's make div with class names flex, flex call, and gap 4. Inside the div let's write p tag with class name as text center, and inside that text is create an account, and in modal component let's pass this body content as props of body. And let's save the file, and you can see the modal text body in the browser. Now in the body content let's type input component tag, and let's make input element so we can reuse that in the project anywhere. So let's go to the comp folder and make new folder named inputs, and inside that let's create input.tsx. And let's make this as client render component as use client. And type sfc and name as input, and in the return let's make simple div with input as text for now, and let's run npm run dev and see in the browser. And we are getting this error because we have not imported input component yet, so let's import it and save file. Now let's code this input component and start with making the interface as input props. As ID as string type, label string type, type as string, disabled as boolean, required as boolean. Register as useForm register, which will use the field values, and errors as field errors. Now here let's define the type of input constant as react.fc as input props, and extract the ID, label type disabled, required, register, and errors. Now let's style the div in the return as class names with full and relative, and inside that let's make input field. So input tag with ID is equal to ID, disabled is equal to disabled, and spread the register for the register form that is from React form, and for that we are putting ID, and it is required. And closing the input tag. Now let's pass all the props in the body content in the register modal.tsx as ID email, label email. Disabled is loading, register is register. Errors is errors. And required is true. Still, the input is not visible in the browser, so let's fix this. In input component, let's give placeholder as empty string and class name as literal string. Width full, peer, padding 4, padding top 6, and font light and background white and border 2 pixels. Rounded MD and outline none. Transition and disabled opacity 70. Disabled cursor not allowed. And now let's put conditional style as errors ID border rows 600. Otherwise border neutral 300. And once more, this one is errors ID, so let's copy paste for focus styling, and if yes, then focus border rows 600. Otherwise focus border black. And now we can see the input field in the browser. Now let's give the label for this input field with the label tag. And class name as absolute, text MD. Duration 150, transform. Minus translate Y3. Top 5, C10. Origin 0. Peer placeholder shown scale 100. Peer placeholder shown transform Y0. Peer focus scale 75. And still we are not seeing label in the browser. So let's fix it as inside label tag. Let's put dynamic prop label that we would receive from the component. And now we can see email text as label in the browser. Let's also give class as peer focus translate Y4 pixels. Also, let's make type as email for this input field. Now let's write conditional class for the error's ID. If yes, then text rows 600, otherwise text gray 400. Now let's copy paste this input component and make it for the name field. Now once more let's copy paste this input component and make it for the password field as ID and type both as password and also label is password. Now we can see three input fields as email, name, and password in the browser. And see, now let's type email, name, and password as simple text and try to submit the form with clicking on continue button, but in the console of the browser we are getting Axios error because we have not defined that root in API in the server component. So for notifications about errors or messages to the user in the front end, we will use React Hot Toast library. So let's install npm iReact-hot-toast. and reload browser with npm run dev. Now let's go to the app directory and make new folder as providers. And inside that, let's make toasterprovider.tsx file. And this is client component, so let's write use client. Now let's import toaster from the React Hot Toast. Now let's make SFC as toaster provider component and export it. And in the return statement, let's write toaster. And in the layout.tsx file, let's wrap main part with the toaster provider and make sure it properly imported. Now in the register modal.tsx file, in Axios post request for errors we had done as console log, so now let's replace that with the toast.error statement so it will show as notification to the user nice way. Now let's test that toast, so let's give dummy inputs and try to submit form with clicking on continue button. And now we can see toast message as notification as invalid details. Now after the body content, let's define the footer content. Also in the modal component, let's pass as footer content like this. Now in the footer content, let's make deep with class name flex column and gap 4 and margin top 3, and inside that for now let's put text as footer. Upon saving file, footer text is still not visible, so let's find about that. In the modal.tsx file, we have not defined footer as dynamic, that's why it was not showing, so after placing that now we can see footer in the browser. Now instead of footer text, now replace that with the social login buttons, so let's import our button component. And let's pass the props as outlined. Label is sign up with Google. Icon as FC Google, and make sure it is imported from React icon/FC. And on click for now, let's put empty function. Now we can see the nice sign up with Google button in the browser. Now let's copy paste this button for the GitHub login. And in the label replace the text as sign up with the GitHub. And in the icon as AI fill GitHub and make sure it is imported from React icon/AI. And here we have done with our register Modal UI, and in the playlist of Building Logic Powerhouse with JavaScript episode 2 there is a coding challenge for you guys. Like and subscribe to support this channel, and thanks for watching video. See you guys in the next video.